friends, welcome to the ETC Guitar YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be putting some internet lore to the test, so to speak, kind of Mythbusters style content. This is part 2 of a series I'm doing based on the Tweed Deluxe. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'll put a link in the description below. In it, we build an amplified parts kit, and then we compared it directly to this vintage 50s Tweed side by side through the same speaker with the same tubes. So about as apples to apples as you can possibly get. Really interesting, so check that out. But this video, as well as the next video, we're going to get into the weeds a little bit and kind of see what's what. Specifically, today we're going to be comparing coupling capacitors. We've got the stock orange drops that come in the kit. Now, it's worth noting there's varying levels of orange drops. These are the higher end 715p model, I think is what they're called, versus courtesy of Amplified Parts, once again sponsoring this video and providing the parts. Thank you to those guys. So we've got the orange drops, then we've got the Jupiter Yellow Astron clones, SoZo Blue Molded clones, and then my own personal stash of Blue Moldeds from the 60s are being tossed in there as well. Keeping all the values stock to the 5E3 kit, the schematic. So that'll be kind of the constant. You know, obviously there's a little bit of tolerance from cap to cap, but they should be very close. And yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I've heard orange drops suck for years online, but I've never seen anybody actually show them side by side in a comparison where I can come to my own conclusion. So that's what this video is for. Not only for you guys, but for me as well. I'm just taking you along for the ride. Okay, so with all that out of the way, you can see we got 2 mics on the cabinet. The speaker is a Celestion 100 Alnico speaker. 2 mics there, and then my phone and camera will be the stereo room mics. I'll pan those. And then, yeah, we're just going to wholesale swap it. So it's all orange drop, all the Jupiter, all the SoZo, all the Blue Moldeds. So we're not going to do one by one. We're going to do all of them together at once and see if there's any change in tone at all. Playing wise, we're going to be running into a looper pedal, so the take will be exactly the same. That way I can chop it perfectly so that you can seamlessly hear one versus the next, and I will annotate that on the screen. So without further ado, let's get to the playing. there you guys go. I am so curious to hear what you have to say in the comments below. So go ahead, let me know. Did you hear a difference? Was it a big difference? Did you have a clear favorite? Or maybe you heard no difference at all and thought this was a complete waste of time. It's all valid. You can say whatever you want. My playing sucks, the tone sucks, I set the amp wrong, whatever. It's all valid. It's YouTube. Do your thing in the comments below. I will say, on my end, it was very interesting, and I'm so excited to actually do the edit to see if it holds up from what I heard in the room versus what the mics pick up. I don't generally like to give my thoughts and opinions in these kind of videos because, to be honest, I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. It just happens naturally. Even if it's subconscious, if I say something, it's going to influence probably what you heard or a lot of people. So I don't want to do that generally. So go ahead in the comments now, put out your thoughts. Say what you heard, what you liked, you didn't like. Go ahead. I'll give you a couple seconds here. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, go ahead in the description, check the playlist, and go to part 1 of the series if you haven't checked that one out yet, or go to part 3 if that's out. So go ahead and do that now. And if you want to stick around and hear what I have to say, okay, great, let's do that. So going into this, I was expecting to hear no difference in the room. There's like, 15-minute gap between swapping the capacitors over. So there's a little bit of a time delay. And generally with any time delay, if it's a nuanced change, you're just not going to notice it at all, or your brain will play tricks on you. So my perspective going into it was probably going to hear nothing. In the edit, it'll probably be cork sniffery, like you got to hunt for it kind of thing. And that may be the case still with the recorded audio. I don't know yet. But in the room, when I put the blue molded caps in there, it immediately stood out to me that they were different. They sounded chimier, brighter, and like they had less low end. They were more focused and clearer, I would say. And immediately that jumped out to me. And I was actually shocked. Like, did I have the settings wrong on the amp? I double checked it to make sure it was all okay because it was like that big of a change in the room from my memory of the other ones. So that's the first thing. Did that hold up in the edit? I have no idea. You guys just watched it. Maybe it's a smaller amount, but it was substantial enough for me to just take a step back for a second and go, oh, wow, was not expecting that. The Jupiters had what seemed like additional low end over the other ones. So they had just kind of more bass in general, it sounded like, but they still had the top end. They still had some nice clarity to them, but definitely sounded fuller and just bassier in general. The SoZos, I don't know what my takeaway with the SoZos are, to be honest, in the room. The mid-range seemed like a little different, almost like, in some cases, it almost sounded like it was like a little bit of a smearing quality to it, but I also liked it in other cases. So I'm not sure what my takeaway is in the room with the SoZos, but it did not sound like the Blue Moldeds. They didn't have what, again, my interpretation was, that kind of little bit of a cut low end and a little bit extra clarity. So I have no idea, but I wouldn't say based off of my ears and not listening to the mics, yeah, so maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but that they were kind of a 1-to-1, the Blue Moldeds. They do look sharp though, nice looking caps. And then the orange drops. Again, I think part of the difference we heard between the Tweed Deluxe from the 50s and the kit from Amplified Parts, kind of the takeaway was it's got more low end. The kit does. It's got more low mids. It doesn't quite have as much top end clarity versus the vintage. That was kind of the main takeaway I saw in the comments, and I generally agreed with that. I think the orange drops seemed to play a role in that somewhat because it did seem like the orange drops were a little bit less clear and just a little bit more in the low mids, which actually made it sound nice and fat, I thought, in both video comparisons. So it's a good sound, but it is a bit different. And I did think the extra clarity of the Blue Moldeds would probably get it closer to the vintage Tweed Deluxe in the excerpts where it sounded like one was quite a bit brighter than the other. So yeah, really interesting. Again, everything I just said might be totally ridiculous after listening to the mic'd audio, but I don't know. I'm going to put it out there anyways, so we'll see. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe for more. Stay tuned for part 3 of the series. Next up, we're going to be doing the resistors, so swapping the Vishay power metal film with carbon comp. So that'll be really interesting. Does that make a difference? We're going to find out. So stay tuned for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe for more. And until next time, see ya.